Have you ever been in one of those situations? You're trying to work together with people, could be a project team, maybe making a family decision, or, even just friends trying to plan something.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly things just go sideways. A difference of opinion, maybe a misunderstanding, or sometimes, a real conflict.
Oh, absolutely. It's something everyone deals with, right? A fundamental human challenge, really. It's as old as communities.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is that today, we're going to dig into this ancient text that gives some surprisingly practical guidance on exactly that. It's called the Kintisuttaṃ.
That's the one. Our sources for this deep dive are direct excerpts from it, capturing a really profound teaching.
Yeah.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to pull out the most useful, sort of timeless wisdom from these teachings. We want practical insights on, like, building harmony, handling different views constructively, dealing with misconduct.
And keeping a community together, essentially.
Right.
While also, appreciating the subtleties of communication, of intent.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So it starts in Kusinara. The Buddha, the Bhagava, is there in a forest grove.
Right.
And he gathers his monks, the bhikkhu, and he asks them this really direct question, almost introspective.
Yeah, it's about his own motivation.
He asks, basically, look, do you guys think I teach the Dhamma, his core teachings, for my own gain? For robes, food, lodging, or even some philosophical goal like existence or non-existence?
It's a really foundational question he's posing there. Sets the whole tone.
Totally. And this opening is so important because it establishes the why behind everything that follows.
And the monks. Their response is immediate. No hesitation. They completely deny any selfish motive.
Right. They say something like, no, Lord, you're compassionate, you seek our welfare, you teach out of compassion.
Exactly. And the Buddha confirms it. He accepts their understanding and reiterates it. This compassion piece, it's the bedrock.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? For communities today, how often do we actually truly establish that shared positive intent right at the start?
That's such a good point. It's often an afterthought if it's there at all.
Or it's just assumed, maybe.
Right, assumed. And that's why this text is so powerful, starting right there. Because without that shared goodwill, trying to fix conflicts later is just, well, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a deeper issue.
Makes sense.
So after establishing that, the Buddha then lists his core teachings, the ones he knows through direct knowledge.
Yeah, he mentions the big ones, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4 right exertions.
The bases of psychic power, the 5 faculties, the 5 powers, the 7 factors of enlightenment, the noble eightfold path.
Wow, yeah, the whole framework, basically.
The whole path. But then he brings it right back to the community aspect.
How so?
He stresses that in these teachings, with this foundation of compassion, the monks should all train in unity, harmoniously, without dispute.
Oh, okay. So that's the ideal. Train together, unified, no fighting.
That's the ideal. But as we all know, life happens. Even with the best intentions, disagreements pop up.
Which brings us to the next part, right? What happens when, say, 2 monks, even though they're committed to unity in the core teachings, find they have differing views on the Abhidhamma?
Exactly. The Abhidhamma being the more, let's say, philosophical or analytical side of the teaching.
Okay, so deeper, maybe more complex stuff.
Could be, yeah. And this is where the Kintisuttaṃ gets incredibly practical. It lays out 4 specific scenarios for handling these doctrinal differences.
4 scenarios, okay. This feels relevant for, well, any group trying to figure things out together. How do you handle different interpretations without things exploding? And
the Buddha's guidance is really nuanced. It's not just one rule. It moves from the most complex disagreements down to the simplest.
All right, let's break them down. Scenario 1.
Scenario 1 is when both the meaning and the wording are different. The Pali is atato chavanana byanjanato kananat.
Meaning and wording both different. Okay. What's the advice?
First, approach the monk who seems more amenable, more open to talking.
Okay, good tactical advice already.
Yeah. Then you clarify that both the meaning and the wording of their view seem different from the core teaching. But crucially...
Let me guess. Don't quarrel.
Exactly. Advise do not quarrel. The instruction is basically to acknowledge what's wrongly grasped, as being wrongly grasped, and then just state the correct Dhamma and vinaya, the teaching and the discipline.
So it's about clarity and gentle correction, not winning an argument.
Precisely. No fighting, just identify the difference and state the correct view.
Okay. Scenario 2.
This one's interesting. The meaning is different, but the wording is the same. Atato hiko nanat byanjanato samiti.
Ooh, that sounds tricky. Using the same words but meaning totally different things. That happens all the time.
It really does. It's a recipe for hidden conflict,
So what's the approach here? Still no quarreling.
Still no quarreling. The advice is similar. Acknowledge the difference in meaning despite the identical wording. Hold wrongly grasped as wrongly grasped, and rightly grasped as rightly grasped.
So being really precise about the understanding, not just the words.
Exactly. And then, again, speak the correct Dhamma and Vinaya. It pushes you to get past the surface language and find the actual point of disagreement.
Makes sense. Okay, number 3. This is the one you flagged as insightful.
Yeah, I think this one is incredibly relevant for everyday life. It's when the meaning is the same, but the wording is different. Atatohi sameti banyanatana.
Okay. So we agree on the core idea. We're just saying it differently. I feel like half my arguments are probably this.
Right. People talking past each other. And the Buddha's take here is brilliant. Again, do not quarrel. But then he adds something crucial.
What's that?
He calls this situation where only the wording differs a trifling matter. Apamataka.
Trifling. Just a small thing.
But basically, yeah. Insignificant. The core message is, if you agree on the fundamental meaning, don't get hung up on the words. Prioritize that shared understanding.
Wow. That's huge. Think how much conflict could just dissolve if people actually did that.
Seriously. It's like ancient wisdom saying, chill out about the vocabulary if you're on the same page. Agree to disagree on the terms, maybe.
A powerful rule of thumb for any discussion, definitely. We see the opposite play out constantly, especially online.
For sure. Okay, and the last one, scenario 4.
Let me guess. Meaning and wording are the same.
You got it. Atato cheva sameti, bayanjanato kasameti. Both align.
So what's the advice then? High five and move on.
Pretty much. The advice is straightforward. Just confirm the agreement, acknowledge that you're aligned, and you guessed it.
Do not quarrel.
Do not quarrel. It underlines the importance of recognizing when you do agree and not accidentally creating conflict where there isn't any. Reinforce the unity.
It's amazing how thorough this is just on intellectual disagreements, but, life isn't always just about different interpretations. Sometimes people mess up. They act in ways that harm the group.
True. People commit offenses or transgressions. The text calls them apati or vatikamo.
Right. And the Kintisuttaṃ tackles that too. It doesn't just stick to the theoretical.
Nope. It gets very practical here as well. And the first principle, when someone has transgressed, is really important.
What is it?
Instead of immediately launching into an accusation, the instruction is to examine the individual. Pugalo upabirkitabo.
Examine the individual. So not just the act, but the person and the context.
Exactly. It's not about judging blindly. It's about discernment. Asking, okay, what's really going on here? What's this person's state of mind? What are the circumstances?
That requires some pause, some reflection, not just reacting.
Definitely. And then it gives 5, they're like nuanced conditions for when it's actually appropriate to speak to the monk who committed the offense.
5 conditions. It's not just see something, say something.
Not at all. It's much more considered. For instance, it weighs things like, is this conversation safe for me, the intervener?
Your own safety. That's practical.
And also, what about the offender? What's their disposition? Are they likely to get super angry and defensive, or are they actually open to hearing it? Is the intervention likely to help them?
So it's really about assessing the potential outcome of the intervention. Will it actually lead to something good?
Precisely. It's not just about being right or pointing out a wrong. It's about the intention behind speaking up and the likely effect. Will this correction actually help establish the person in what's wholesome, or will it just cause more harm, more division?
That's a very skillful approach. Much harder than just reacting, though.
Much harder. And then there's this final, really interesting point about forbearance. The Pali word is upekkha.
Forbearance, like patience.
Yeah.
Or something else.
It's a kind of wise equanimity, but here it's applied specifically. The text says if intervening would likely harm both people involved, and crucially, if you assess that you cannot actually help establish the offender in wholesome states.
Then what? You just ignore it.
Not exactly ignore. The phrasing is not overlook upekkha natimanitaba, such an individual. It implies a kind of wise non-engagement in that moment, letting go of the direct confrontation because it won't be beneficial right then.
So you don't pretend it didn't happen, but you choose not to engage directly if it's just going to make things worse for everyone and achieve nothing positive.
That's a good way to put it. It's understanding that sometimes the wisest, most compassionate action in that specific situation is to step back from direct confrontation to avoid greater harm.
That takes real discernment. Okay, so we've covered doctrinal differences and actual transgressions. What else?
Well, the text goes even subtler. It addresses the kinds of discord that can bubble up even when people are generally trying to train harmoniously.
Like what?
Things described as vasakara, dihaipaso, setaso aito, apakayo anabirati.
Whoa, okay. What do those translate to, roughly?
They're things like verbal formations, maybe unspoken critical thoughts, mental vexation, mental ill will, disapproval, dissatisfaction, basically the internal grumbling.
Ah, okay. The stuff that goes on inside your head. The little annoyances, frustrations, judgments that can build up in any group, even if nothing's said out loud.
Exactly. The silent stuff that can really erode trust and goodwill from within.
So what's the advice for dealing with that?
Yeah.
You can't exactly call someone out on their internal grumbling.
No, this part is focused on self-correction. It outlines a two-part self-inquiry process.
Okay, what do you ask yourself?
First, if the samana, meaning the Buddha, knew about this internal state I'm holding, would he blame it?
And the assumed answer is?
The text implies the correct answer is yes, he would blame it. It's not a wholesome state.
Okay, makes sense. What's the second question?
Second, by not abandoning this state, this ill will, this vexation, could one realize nibbana? Nibbana being the ultimate goal, liberation.
And the answer there is?
No. By not abandoning this, one cannot realize nibbana.
Wow. So it ties even those subtle internal states directly to your ultimate spiritual progress. It's a strong call for self-awareness and taking responsibility for your own mind.
It really is. Confronting your own negativity by looking at its ethical dimension and its impact on your biggest goals.
That's powerful. Taking responsibility for your inner world, not just your outward actions.
Precisely. And the text even gives a model for how to talk about positive influence later. If other monks ask, hey, did you help others? Did you manage to establish them in wholesome states?
Right. How should you respond without sounding arrogant?
The model response is basically to say, yes, I learned this from the Buddha, I spoke to the other monks about it, and they listened and they were established in wholesome states.
Ah, so you state the positive outcome, but you credit the teaching, the Dhamma, and the other person's receptivity. It's not about, I fixed them.
Exactly. And the text points out the benefit. Responding this way, neither praises oneself nor blames others, explains the Dhamma in accordance with the Dhamma, and keeps the conversation constructive, preventing it from turning into a blame game.
That's very skillful communication, taking responsibility for positive action without ego.
Mm-hmm. And then, fittingly, the sutta ends by saying the monks rejoiced in the Buddha's words. They heard this comprehensive teaching and were uplifted by it.
A good place to end. So, bringing it all together, what's the big picture here? The Kintisuttaṃ feels like a complete user manual for a harmonious community.
It really does. It covers the whole spectrum, doesn't it? From handling subtle disagreements in interpretation,
All the way to dealing with actual rule breaking and even managing our own internal negativity.
and throughout it all, the emphasis is on compassion as the foundation, on discerning what really matters versus what's trifling.
And on the art of wise communication, knowing when to speak, how to speak, and sometimes when not to speak directly.
It's a playbook not just for avoiding fights, but for actively building understanding and goodwill.
And these ancient ideas, they feel incredibly relevant right now, don't they?
Absolutely. Take that meaning versus wording principle. Think about your workplace, your family discussions, online debates.
Oh yeah. How many arguments are just people using different words for basically the same idea?
If we could just pause and ask, wait, do we actually disagree on the substance here or just the terms? Imagine the time and energy we'd save.
And the approach to intervention when someone has done something wrong. That whole process of examining the individual, considering your safety, their disposition, the likely outcome.
It's a masterclass in how to engage constructively, not just reactively. It pushes us away from just blaming and towards, compassionate problem solving.
It suggests true unity isn't about never disagreeing.
No, definitely not. It's about having the skillful means, the wisdom to navigate those disagreements when they inevitably arise.
So maybe a final thought for you listening at home to mull over after this deep dive.
Yeah.
If we really took this ancient advice to heart, if we seriously considered the intent behind our communication and the likely outcome of our interactions, like the Kintisuttaṃ outlines, how might that change how we approach disagreements in our own lives?
That's a deep question. What kind of relationships, what kind of communities, what kind of even online conversations could we build if we operated from that place of compassionate awareness and skillful means?
Something to think about.